Section 3 in Chapter 12 is determinants and inverses. We're going to start talking about inverses first, and then we'll kind of go into determinants. So first of all, let's think back to what we know about inverses. An inverse is something that undoes another thing. For example, 2 and 1/2 are what we call multiplicative inverses of each other, because 2 times 1/2 is 1. 1/4 and 4 are also multiplicative inverses of each other, because 1/4 times 4 is 1. So when we're talking about numbers, just real numbers, multiplicative inverses multiply together to give us 1. Matrices also have multiplicative inverses. And our identity, so our identity number is 1, but our identity matrix looks a little bit different. The identity matrix, which we call I, if we're talking about a 2 by 2, has 1s starting in the top left corner going diagonally, and 0s everywhere else. Our identity matrix for a 3 by 3 is very similar, just obviously bigger. But same idea, we start off with 1s in the top left corner, working our way down. And then we have 0s everywhere else. Now, as far as matrices go, 2 matrices are multiplicative inverses. If A times B and B times A both equal the identity matrix. So it has to work both ways. A times B and B times A both have to give us the identity matrix. Okay, so my first example that we're going to look at, and we'll actually use our calculators here. And I'll just do one example like this, since it is a calculator, but it's a calculator process. I have matrix A, and it's a 2 by 2. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. And matrix B is also a 2 by 2. I'll throw some fractions in here too, 3/2, and then -1/2. I want to find R, A, and B inverses. So again, for A and B to both be inverses, I need to take A times B and end up with the identity. I need to take B times A and end up with the identity. Now, in our last section, section 2, we learned how to multiply matrices. You don't always necessarily have to do this by hand. And actually, I want to show you how to do this in your calculator, because on most standardized tests, your ACT, the Iowa standardized tests, you'll have a graphing calculator if you need one. So the easy way to do this, we've used matrices a little bit on our calculators when we were solving systems of equations, is to go to right here, that matrix button. So second matrix. And I want to enter each one of these matrices in. Matrix A, matrix B. Matrix A, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to go over to edit. And I want matrix A to be a 2 by 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's better. Okay, so matrix A is in there. I'm gonna go back to my matrix menu, over to edit, and go down to matrix B so I can type matrix B in here. But I also want a 2 by 2. My matrix here is -2, 1, 3 halves, and -1 half. Okay, go down to this. Now again, I want to be able to take A times B and get the identity matrix, and same thing the other way. So let's go back to my matrix menu again. So second, matrix. This gives me my list of matrices. I want matrix A times, back to your matrix menu again, matrix B, and see what we get. Okay, we get our matrix. We have our ones starting in the top left corner, going down diagonally. We have zeros everywhere else. So A times B gives us the identity. So I'm just gonna make that note down here. A times B is I. That's our identity matrix. Now I want to do the same thing the other direction. Matrix B times matrix A. I get the identity matrix again. Ones diagonally, starting at the top left, going down, and then zeros everywhere else. B times A also is the identity matrix. A and B are inverses of each other.